Okay, today we're gonna finish graphing these polynomials. And I just wanna do a quick review of the polynomial functions that we've talked about in the left and right behavior. If the degree is odd, what do you know about the left and the right side?
It's
How do you
not
know what goes up, what goes down?
positive, negative.
So if the leading coefficient is positive, it's gonna go down on the left, right is gonna go up, right? What if the leading coefficient is negative? It's the opposite. So the left side will go up and the right side will go down, right? What about if it's even? What's the difference between these two?
Parabolas.
They're both gonna go up if it's positive leading coefficient, and if it's negative, they're both gonna go down, right? What about the multiplicity of your zeros? So if I gave you this problem, x minus 2 cubed, x minus 1, and x plus, let's do 3 squared. Each of these zeros has a multiplicity. So this zero, what is this zero right here? X equals 2. What's this one? X equals 1. And x equals negative 3. Each of these zeros has a degree. So this zero occurred 3 times. 3 is an odd number. If the multiplicity is odd, what is it going to do at 2 on the x-axis? It's going to cross through it. If it's this degree, doesn't have a number here, it's an understood 1. That's an odd number. It's going to cross through. And this is a 2. 2 is even. What does it do if the multiplicity is even? It's going to touch at that and bounce off. Now, if I asked you what the degree of the whole problem is, what you're going to do is count. This one occurred 3 times, so that counts for 3, 4, 5, 6. The degree of this is a 6, and the leading coefficient is positive. So I know there's going to be at most 5 max and mins. Okay, so we're going to put this all together to graph these problems. So go in the front page, all it talks about is the shapes. If it's odd, if the degree's odd and the leading coefficient's positive, the left side's going to go down, the right side's going to go up. Here's 2 examples. And if it has a negative leading coefficient and if it's odd, the left side goes up and the right side goes down. These are things that we already know. If it's even, both sides go up. If it's a positive leading coefficient, both sides go down. Okay? So, how do you find the zeros? You have to factor your polynomial completely. How do you find the y-intercept? You plug 0 in for x and solve for y. And how many bumps are there going to be? Local extrema. There's at most 1 degree less than the actual degree of the whole problem. So here we go. Everybody see example 1.
Yes.
I factored it for you. So the part of factoring it, that part's done. I need to know, can you interpret this polynomial? First of all, can you tell me the degree of the whole problem? What is the degree of the whole problem?
4.
Of 4. How did you get that, Teddy?
So the first one was x squared, the next one was an x, the other one was an x, I just added the
And
numbers.
you counted,
powers.
exactly. Can you tell me, is the leading coefficient a positive or a negative number? It's going to be positive. If you multiplied these out, you would get positive x to the 4th power. So with a degree of 4 and a leading coefficient that's positive, this is my shape of my graph. Can you tell me, moving left to right, what are the zeros? You set each of these equal to 0. So we have 0, then we have a 1, and we have a 4. Does everyone understand that? Where do these three numbers pop up? On the x-axis, you're going to put a dot at 0, a dot at 1, and a dot at 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, each of these zeros has a multiplicity. For the first one, it's even. So what's it going to do? It's going to touch there. 1 is odd. Not the number 1, but the degree is 1. It's odd, so it's going to cross through. And 4 has a degree of 1, which is odd. It's going to cross through. So basically, what I'm seeing here so far is that at 0, it's going to touch here. But my graph has to be coming from it, the shape of it has to look like that. So do you agree? I'm just going to lightly draw this. It's going to touch here. Somehow it's going to go up. It's going to cross through here. It's going to come down, and then it's going to cross through at 4. Does everyone agree that that would be?
Yes.
I would give this, if I gave 5 points, I'd probably give it a 3. How would I get the other 2 points? What do you think you're going to do? Well, I need the y-intercept. The y-intercept, since it's crossing the y-axis at 0, I know that the y-intercept is 0. Also, how do you find the y-intercept? You plug 0 in for x and you solve for y. Well, 0 squared is 0, and 0 times anything is going to be 0. Now, how do I get how do I get a better graph? You take this t-chart, and what should you do? What do you think you're going to do? Find some points. Teddy, what points do you think make most sense? 2 and 3 definitely. So let's start there. 2 and 3. If you plugged a 2 in here, 2 squared is 4, right? 2 minus 1 is 1, and 1 to the first power is 1. And 2 minus 4 is negative 2. Negative 2 times this is negative 8. Everyone got that? So over 2 down 8. So what's wrong with my graph? I didn't go far enough down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Put a dot right here. So what's happening is this is coming down. And now at 3, I want to do 3. So 3 squared is 9. And then 3 minus 1 is 2. And 3 minus 4 is negative 1. So if you multiply these, you get negative 18. So I know negative 18 is off my graph. So all I'm going to do is this. This is how I would sketch a graph. And I'd write negative 18 here to know that I'm obviously not going to have enough room. But that's okay. Now that would be a better graph. Now how high up did I go here? I'm going to plug a number like 0.5. So if you plugged 0.5 in here, 0.5 squared, and then if you put 0.5 in here, 0.5 minus 1 is times negative 0.5, and then 0.5 minus 4 is negative, so times negative 3.5, and you get an error message. So 0.5 squared times 0.5 minus 1, and then times 0.5 minus 4. You get 0.4375. So a little bit above the x-axis you're going to go. Not even to a half, so that's your graph. So 0.4, we'll just say 0.4. questions, that's gonna be worth like 5 points. You want all 5 points, you have to hit all 5 objectives. Okay, let's do another one. Let's analyze this one. Anyone know one of these 5 things? The degree is 4. Now, Lexi, how'd you get 4? She added 2 here, and 2 here is 4. What's the leading coefficient, positive or negative? Negative. So I know my graph's gonna look like that. Do you know what the zeros are? What's this 0 right here? -1, and what's this one? 3. And they're both even, right? 2 and 2, they're both even. So they're gonna touch at both of these. Touch and touch. Now, how do you find the y-intercept? What do? You're gonna plug 0 here and 0 here. So you have -2 times 0 plus 1 is 1, 1 squared is 1, and 0 minus 3 is -3 squared is 9. So where is my y-intercept? It's at -18. So let's start putting this stuff in. We have a -1 and a 3 are my zeros. My graph is gonna be upside down because of the negative leading coefficient. It's gonna come and it's gonna all the way down at -18. It's gonna touch the y-axis. Now, if I plug a number like 1 and 2 into this problem, those are the 2 numbers I want to use. The best place to plug these numbers in is right here when it's factored, because when we get to problems where it's not factored, you're going to want to place these numbers in where it's factored, not the unfactored standard form. So what is -2 times? We have 1 plus 1, which is 2. 2 squared is 4. And then 1 minus 3 is -2. -2 squared is 4. So 16, we have a 32. This is going to be a positive form. So we're going, that's a dot, it looks like a negative. You're going to go down to 32, -32. And then when you plug a 2 in here, you're going to get -18. So what's happening here is it's shooting down. If I drew a better picture, like if I had a better graph right here, this thing is, it's gonna touch at -1, right? It's touching at -1. What it's doing is it's hitting here at -18, the y-axis. It's coming down to -32, and then it's shooting back up at -18 again, and then it's gonna touch at 3, this is 3, and then it's gonna come back down. This is -1. So that would be a nice graph.
On the test or quiz, do we really have to have perfect points?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yes, you do. Okay, any questions? I will give you a nicer piece of graph paper. This is just for notes and for homework that I gave you small, so I didn't have to waste a lot of paper. You can sketch them on separate paper, but this is basically what you're doing. Now, what are these? These are prompts for you. You should be able to do this without my telling you degree. I'm giving you hints here. I hope you realize that. You may see just sketch the graph. They're not going to tell you find the degree, find the leading coefficient, find the zeros, find the multiplicity. I'm helping you here. I typed this up. I want you to realize that you're not going to see this all the time. It might just say sketch the graph. So you need to get your brain conditioned to see these are the things that you need. These are the key points I'm looking for. Okay, so what is the degree of this whole thing right here? 3. And is the leading coefficient positive or negative? Negative. So now I know this is my shape. The left side will go up and the right side will go down. The zeros in order are 1, 3, and negative 2. And since they're all odd, it's going to cross through all of them. How do you get the y-intercept? You're going to plug a 0 here, a 0 here, and a 0 here. So quickly multiply. You're going to do negative 1/2 times 0 minus 1 is negative 1, times 0 minus 3 is negative 3, and 0 plus 2 is 2. Well, how many negatives do I have in this problem? I have 3. So the answer is going to be negative. Negative what? Well, a half of 2 is 1, and 1 times 3 is 3. So the 0, negative 3 is your y-intercept. So let's put all of our stuff in. 0, negative 3, and we've got a 1, a 3, and a negative 2. Whoops, it's not negative 2. Here's negative 2 right there. So, based on this, how do I connect these dots? This thing's going to be coming from the left up. It's going to go down, pick this up, and down. Now, this is an average graph. How do I make it better, more precise? That's where I would want to plug in, give me 2 more points, negative 1, and I would do 2. Tell me what you get when you plug those numbers in. Take a second and do the math. Tell me what you get. This is what I got. Tell me if my math was right. Anyone get those two? Okay, so how should I erase? I use a pencil. How should I fix this? I'm going to go at negative 1, I'm going to go down to 4. So this thing actually went down a little bit more. And then it hits the y-axis at 0, negative 3. And then my 2. So that's a nice graph. Questions? What's wrong with question number 4?
100.
What's wrong with question number 4? It's not factored. And it's not x squared, it's x cubed. So what you have to do is what you learned in 4.2. You have to use the rational zero test to figure what the first 0 is. So you can start breaking this up. Let's try 1. If you did a 1 here, does 1 work? You've got x cubed, which is 1, a negative 5, a 7, and a negative 3. Synthetic division says bring down the 1, multiply, multiply, add, multiply, and bingo, we got our first 0. That wasn't too hard. So you'd write this in, we want to write this in factored form. X minus 1, and then this would be x squared minus 4x plus 3. We did this the other day. Now can you break this up at all? How do you break x squared minus 4x plus 3? Can you simplify this answer at all? X minus 1 quantity squared. Why would we want to do that? Why would we want to write x minus 1 squared? Because at this 0, the multiplicity is even, so it's going to touch at 1. So let's write everything down now. Tell me the degree of the whole thing. It's a 3, and the leading coefficient's positive. So this thing's going to be shaped like that. My zeros are 1 and 3, and the multiplicity of 1 is even, so it's going to touch, and 3 is odd, it's going to cross. The y-intercept, when it's in standard form, will be the constant, so 0, negative 3. So let's put all this information in. We're going to put a dot at 1. Our zeros are 1 and 3. Our y-intercept is 0, negative 3. So what's happening here? It's coming down here from the left. It's gonna touch here. It's gonna come down. How far down is it gonna go? Anyone know? You're gonna plug in a 2 right here. Where would you plug a 2 in? Up here or here? Definitely here. 2 minus 1 is 1. 1 squared is 1. 1 times, and then 2 minus 3 is negative 1. What's 1 times negative 1? Negative 1. And then it's going to shoot back up, and there's your answer. Done. It wasn't too bad. Questions? I am done with teaching 4.1 to 4.3. This is actually the intro to 4.4, but we're going to include this on your test tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a partner test on all these sections. I've got 8 problems for you to practice of these. Here's the worksheet. There's 6 graphs on the front page and 2 on the back. 3 of them are already factored for you. Some of them are very simple, like x squared, but I want you to be able to answer these. Look, I'm looking for these things. The zeros, the multiplicity, the degree of the polynomial, the leading coefficient, the y-intercept. On these 2, I did not give you the prompts. See if you can do this without me telling you what to do. Okay?